to organize this joint webinar with contributions from the MOVE21 Upper and Scale-Up project, as well as from UITP, the International Association of Public Transports. Just a few general remarks. We will record this meeting and we will publish it on the relevant project channels. We will have 4 contributions this morning from the city of Rome, from the metropolitan city of Bologna, from Antwerp, and from UITP. After 2 contributions each, we will have a space where you can ask questions, where we'll have a discussion. For that, you can either make use of the chat or just raise your hand if you have a specific question. And with that, I would hand over directly to my colleague Francesco and Chiara from the city of Rome.
Good morning, everyone. So good to see you here. Today, my colleague Chiara and myself will be talking about an initiative which is taking place in Rome since 2015. And the aim of this initiative is to gently guide visitors and tourists and locals to reach the Stadium Olimpico in Rome for the Rugby Six Nations tournament. Chiara will be speaking first, introducing Rome and the role of Rome within Upper, and then I will go through the initiatives myself. Please, Chiara, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. So I work in the mobility agency of Rome, which is partner of the Upper project and also of the MOVE21 project. So we have very ambitious programs within the Upper, within the Mission Cities initiative about public transport. Anyway, in this webinar, we are talking about a very peculiar activity which concerns special events that take place in Rome. Of course, being a capital, Rome has very often hosts events of any kind. But during the past 10 years, 10-15 years, an idea popped up to link sustainable mobility to sport events. So to change the habits of people going to these large events and supporting their choice in sustainable modes to reach stadium or other locations. So as you can see, the motorization rate is quite high in Rome, and this is not a good point, but we are working on that with many implementations. So I leave the floor to Francesco, as he was a colleague of ours in the mobility agency until 2 years ago. And he has incentivized this activity, and he has promoted this activity through a number of European projects that supported the implementation of these awareness campaigns. Please.
Thank you very much, Chiara. Yes, the idea of creating this initiative, which also evolved in a technical aspect through the years, was to, as I said, to give guidance to tourists and locals to smoothly reach the Olimpico Stadium, which is located in the center of the city. So that we're all aware of the chaos that big events can cause to the city. So, being part of the mobility agency, we thought that, a guidance through a map, which at the very beginning was a downloadable map, would have been an extremely useful tool for tourists, but also for locals. So the first campaign took place in 2015, and you can see the flyer here. And we teamed up with the municipality of Rome and also with the transport operator ADAC for the first year. And then we provided all the infos to reach the stadium from the airport, and then we gave a lot of options through public transport, cycling, walking, and then through the years, you know, because we were involved in European project, we thought that, you know, teaming up with current active mobility project would have been nice to engage with the citizenship. So we started with PASTA, which was it was a milestone, a major project for Rome, where actually the word active mobility was coined within the project PASTA, and we had a stand at the stadium because we need to we had a survey to complete. And then after PASTA, we decided to engage with another project, which was called Handshake, always under the Severus umbrella. And this project was mainly focused on cycling. So we developed cycling activities to the stadium. And we also managed to establish, to open up a parking space for bicycle. And this is the map you can see here. So we highlighted all the sustainable way of transport to reach the stadium, you know, public transport, taxi, shared mobility, a dedicated space for disabled people. And then we disseminated the map through the channels, the official channels of the municipality of Rome, through the Roma Servizi Mobilità, and then, you know, with this European touch we gave also at a European level, we gained a success, if you want to call it this way. The info, as I said, we provide the link. You can click on the link and you can, you know, have your experience yourself through the website of Roma Servizi. So as I said, we provide all the infos from the Termini station to another metro station nearby the stadium, which is also nearby the St. Peter's Church. And so tourists and locals could, you know, follow these simple hints by us and reach the stadium very, very easily. Also, you know, as I said before, we focus on bikes, and, you know, bikes can be carried on the underground for free if they're folded, and so it's easy to reach the stadium by bike as well. There's also a bike lane which goes nearby the stadium. And also, as I said, the mobility as a right, which is one of the pillars of Upper, was developed through the initiatives. You know, we had a special attention for, you know, people with reduced mobility, and also the Rugby Federation has a special service for reduced mobility funds. From the stations to the stadium, we have 14 volunteers which take care personally of funds which need an extra help. But how we, you know, this is the communication aspect. But, you know, in terms of mobility transport, what we did to ease this process. We increased the number of trams and buses shuttling to the stadium, and also shared mobility operators. They offer, and they're still offering, discounts and, you know, dedicated to rugby funds. So we did try to have a comprehensive way of sustainability, which is not only related to public transport, but, you know, public transport has a lot of aspects. So cycling, walking, shared mobility. We did try to combine all these to provide the perfect combination of public transport to help and to convince, especially locals, to reach out the stadium by mobility, sustainable mobility way of transport. Cyclists are welcome. I quickly mentioned before that, you know, Roma Servizi donated 20 bike racks, which were implemented in the stadium. A parking space was dedicated. We have approximately 100 parking spots for cyclists, which is good, and every year the number of cyclists is growing, which shows that the initiative is catching on also among cyclists. And we started with rugby because it was the easiest way to develop the initiatives, because also due to the behavior of rugby fans, which are mostly amicable. But last year, we also managed to have this initiative for the football fan and for the final of Coppa Italia, which took place at the Olimpico. And also, we extended this initiative to tennis international tournament, which is taking place in the same area of the Olimpico. So we moved from the green grass of the Olimpico pitch to the Foritaligos clay tennis courts, and then we got back to the Olimpico for the football final, which is a remarkable achievement, because it was really hard to convince the city that also football could be, a nice event to cover. And then the upper era. Since 2022, we managed to have Upper as a sponsor and in support of Rome. And the mobility management is one of the measures Rome is developing within Upper. So we thought no better chance for us to jump in and further develop the initiatives. Also, Eurocities is part of the initiatives nowadays. Very, very happy. And currently, we're working on the 2025 edition. The flyer is not ready yet, but it will be disseminated through our channels. And also, quite important, quite proud, we have an ambassador. Each year we had an ambassador, and it's been 3 years. We have the skipper of the Italian rugby team, Michele Lamaro. If you click on the YouTube link, you can listen to what he says, and he's promoting the initiatives. And every year he has a different message to comfort the fans and to encourage them to reach the stadium through our map. That's pretty much the initiatives, and is catching on, and it's important, really, really important that we keep on banging on combining public transport and big sports events. So, Rome is truly a gem, and only through a sustainable transport approach can be fully appreciated. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Francesco, for your presentation. What I can add to what has been nicely presented is that this initiative gave the opportunity to have a multi-stakeholder approach. So under the umbrella of the European projects, we could gather together different local stakeholders, like the public transport operator, of course, the mobility agency, and the sport organizers. I don't know, Francesco, if you can help me. And then you can see the logos that year after year in this nice brochure were presented, had different actors participating. Then the important was quite relevant, the fact that from rugby we moved to also to football matches, which you can imagine in Italy how important and outstanding it is. So last year, of course, during the special sport matches in Rome, public transport is reorganized and reinforced around the stadium. But last year, we had the opportunity to provide free public transport tickets, daily tickets, to the people that had the ticket of the match to attend the final match of this tournament. And so we hope to continue in this. And we are implementing new things for the next rugby matches in Rome.
Yeah, this is the living proof that lifting the pressure that sports games plays on cities is both possible and mandatory. So we did it in Rome, but it can be replicated anywhere. Bologna did a similar initiatives inspired by us. a few years ago, but each city can still the idea. We're happy to promote and to help other cities to develop the same concept, which is very, very easy, and it works. So it doesn't need to be a large city like Rome. It can be done in smaller cities, but it's really, really important that the citizenship is fully aware of the many benefits coming from a different way to get around the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chiara and Francesco, for showing us the challenges Rome is facing around the organization of large sport events, and also for showing the incentives and how you're trying to foster behavioral change when it comes to coming those events. If you have any questions on that presentations, please keep them for a moment. We'll have a Q&A session after the next presentation. And also for your information, we will share the slides after this meeting so that you can all watch the YouTube video. With that, I would hand over to Silke from Antwerp. Silke?
My mic was still off,
Yeah.
I guess.
No,
Yeah.
now we hear you.
Okay. So good morning, everybody. I am Silke from the city of Antwerp, where I'm a communication consultant and UX designer for our website and applications for Smart Ways to Antwerp. And I've worked the last couple of years on a measure within SCALE-UP that focuses on active travel and travel campaigns towards events in the city of Antwerp. And maybe just to make a small difference with Rome already, the events we focused on were always open air events on temporary locations, so with no permanent or little permanent infrastructure. Also, locations could move from one year to another. So we had a few challenges there, but I'll walk you through everything. So we focused on active travel, so mainly walking and cycling towards events, but also public transportation, since it's always a combination with a small walking part at the end. And we already did a lot of high-level active travel communication campaigns with Smart Ways to Antwerp, but we started linking that communication to the large events and vice versa. So it was really, in terms of communication, big collaboration there. And we believe that the active travel campaigns were a catalyst to stimulate and promote sustainable and active travel. Also on the long term, it's something we believe in Antwerp firmly, that visitors that come maybe once in a weekend or for an event, and they discover a new way of active travel towards the city, that they might implement it in further visits or maybe work travel in the future. So for output and impact indicators of our measures, so we had 16 active campaigns linked to events. We worked really hard on improving signage and bike parkings towards these events. We also handed out rewards at events, so where people that arrived at the bike parking and parked their bike correctly got something from us. We increased the reach and appreciation of our campaigns, also bicycle appreciation in general from our visitors. We worked on a more sustainable modal shift towards the events. And then we wanted to check where all the accessibility information came together at our smart mobility website, if there was indeed an increase of the usage of this website. But I'll walk you through slowly through all the main main factors. So just to give you an idea of what type of events these were, for example, the Car-Free Sunday in Antwerp, which is every third weekend of September and gets 15,000 visitors. We had 2 sessions of the Tall Ships races in 2016 and 2022, which attract over 500,000 visitors. The Antwerp 10 Miles is a racing event every year in April with 30,000 visitors and a lot of supporters. And then Winter in Antwerp, which is in the periods of December, January, right, the Christmas markets, which attracts over 1 million visitors each year. So in terms of the active campaigns and the reach and appreciation, you can see that we did single campaigns. So as you see on the left is a guy walking out of his smartphone, and this is our smart travel website where we say the best route towards, this is where we say work, but it was also towards a restaurant, towards an event, starts at our website. You can also see in the third image, which says Antwerp Shift, how are you coming, is where we really put active travel. This is a cargo bike on the poster of the event to attract people and to promote active travel in that way. But also all the city dressing around the event, as you can see on the 2 right screenshots, always included nudges towards walking, cycling, and visiting our website for more information. And then as you can see in the bottom, it's a bit weird because our system put it not in a chronological order throughout the years, is how our appreciation of those campaigns evolved throughout the years, where we started with shared scooters in our posters. That's not always received the best appreciation from our campaign. And then we switched to the cargo bikes. And then last year we did a roller skate, because we included a roller skating parade during the event throughout the city, where you can see that the appreciation of these posters for the events went up the last couple of years. Then on signage and bike parkings, we had a bit more difficulties in rolling out the measure because of a few reasons. I told you these are temporary events, they're open air, and there's not always enough public space close to the entrance of the event, where you want to put your bike parking as close as possible to the entrance. But also we have had a few new guidelines from the city towards temporary signage and printing things for only a short period of time, which is really important if you have a temporary event and you want to put a lot of signage towards bike parkings and so on. So we felt that we had to find new solutions there, or try out more options to improve these things for the temporary events. And one of the main things that is being rolled out already, but also in the next couple of years, is we are expanding our bike parkings, our underground bike parkings in the city center. So we've had a few. They are already close to some event location, but we were definitely missing one in the historical center of Antwerp, where a lot of the big events like the Christmas market, for example, take place, with very little place to park bikes in open air. And you see in the middle image on the bottom, it's a render of actually a car parking right now that is being transformed to a bicycle parking. It's right next to the cathedral. It will open up in a few years. And this is where we will be guiding people towards, instead of the open air bike parkings, in really nice facilities. They're almost always free for the first 24 hours. And then you only have to pay if you park your bike for longer than that. And then for the signage, we looked into all our digital boards around the city, which could also be for parking. but we started using those to communicate whether events were taking place. Also on our bike counting systems, if they had a digital screen, we were communicating on those for the events and where all the information was. And we're going to keep rolling that out. There's a new parking signage system coming in the city where we will include always the events, but also it's not for active travel mainly, but we will also be promoting park and rides there, just saying, look out, there's a big event in the city center, use the park and ride, and then take public transportation further towards your destination. In terms of rewards, we've tried a few different things. On the left, you see some older people with a keychain. This was actually signed by the famous cyclist in Belgium, Victor Kampenaerts. And we had a different keychain for every type of active travel, from biking, using a scooter, walking, public transportation, and so on. And then we checked with people arriving at the event how they came, especially if they used the bike parking, and they were rewarded with a signed keychain from the cyclists. What we also did, you can see it on the second picture, is let people try out stuff at events, especially on the Car-Free Sunday, but they would also get discounts or vouchers if they were trying new active modes of travel that day. We put some work, it was a lot of work, so we've for now only did it for one event for the marathon in Antwerp, where we know that a lot of people come to support the runners and they want to see the runner as much as possible during their run. And that's when we worked together with the event organizer and made a walking and cycling supporter route with times on. Okay, so if the person you want to come see run starts at that time, you can start walking, you can see them a first time here, maybe walk 40 minutes further. There's a nice cafe with animation for the runners there. You can stay there and then move on within the city center and see the person running as much as possible. So that was really fun to work out. And then especially for students each year, it's the last image which says fat deals on steps, bikes, and other sharing things, is where we work together with our active mobility partners for students at the start of the academic year, but also it's a huge event that welcomes students in the city center, where we also promote active modes of travel with discounts, vouchers. And this year they also did a geo-guessing game where students could play a game. They got an image of the city and they had to guess on a map where in the city it was, and then it would say, oh, you're only 5 kilometers off the place where this picture is really taken. It's the perfect distance to use maybe a Velo shared bike. Do you want to try it out? Here's a discount, for example. Then for the bicycle appreciation, we did a number of things. You can see the keychain again on the left. It's what we did at the temporary bike parkings, but also the flyer in the middle is where we really started promoting the underground bike parkings, but mainly promote them for events. For a place, electric bikes and speed pedelecs are very popular in Antwerp, but they are more expensive and people don't always want to park them on the street or in the rain. So we really started promoting those with flyers and campaigns for certain events, guidings through the parkings to let people get accustomed with it. And then we besides from surveys to check on the appreciation level, sometimes you could also see, it's the image on the right, people just out of themselves posting on social media how much they appreciated, how they were being guided with their bike throughout the event, with all the communication at different points where they passed, and just saying that they were really happy to get all the info through the website and the signs, that it was still a nice experience to park their bike at the event. And then maybe one of the most interesting slides from the whole presentation is the visitor modal shift throughout the years. So we are lucky that in Antwerp we had a lot of data and surveys from before the Scale-Up project. So we had a lot of info on the modal split before we started nudging towards the active travel and afterwards. And you see for different events throughout the years, like Winter in Antwerp, tall ships races, the Tour de Flanders, 10 miles and so on, you can really see a big difference. The gray is the first year we did a survey, and then the green is a couple years later, not always the same time period, but definitely some years in between. And some interesting things we've seen is, just to let you know, the percentage that is shown on the graph is how many % of people came by car. So the first one, the Winter in Antwerp, actually saw a big increase in car use. It was one of the first surveys we did during Scale-Up, and it was in 2021, but it was still a COVID year. And this survey really frightened us because we had a pretty good modal split there, with 35% of visitors coming by car. That shifted above 50, which gave us a big fright if COVID was going to have a permanent effect on people not wanting to use public transport, wanting to go by their own car towards events. So we had a scare there. But then you can see for all the other events we measured, and definitely in 22, 23, 24, we see the complete opposite thing. So thank God for that. And what we also notice is the difference is a lot bigger when you had a really bad modal split to begin with. And so you had a lot of, you could have a lot of impact. So with the modal split for the fair Singapore, we started above 50, and now it is landed below 30% people coming by car, which is super good. The other thing we notice is just if the modal split is already below 30% people using a car, and you still put a lot of time and effort nudging towards active mobility, you won't see a lot of impact there anymore. So that was for us kind of the cap. If modal split is below 30, around 30, it doesn't really make sense to put a lot of time and effort in it anymore to nudge it further down, because it kind of, it won't change a lot anymore. The big impact is on events with modal split of 50%, 40%, and so on. So that was a huge learning. And then to finish off the usage of our mobility websites, not only did we work together with organizers, we gave them really clear guidelines and examples of how they could give input to us on all the alternatives, active modes, how they could connect to get discounts on shared bikes, for example. So we gave them a lot of inputs that they had to work with, and then they had to always give us all the info that we published on our website in 4 languages, and then all channels would lead to our website for all the accessibility information. But what we also launched last year is widgets. So our website has a multimodal route planner that also nudges towards sustainable and active mobility. And not only does it show maybe all the shared bike spots or the real-time information on everything around the location, you can also plan routes with it. And we've put it free on the market as a widget now for other websites, from restaurants to events to businesses to use on their websites to nudge their visitors with our tools. So we just give it to them actually. And to give you an example as a possibility for events, next year in the summer, we're going to have the biggest event ever seen in Antwerp with Ed Sheeran coming to a massive Greenland at the left side of Antwerp, where we have one park and ride, but not that many other options. And the event organizer could, for example, make their own map with our tool. On the left, you can see maybe they want to focus on public transportation, and they can choose, I want to show all the tram stops, bus stops, park and rides, and so on around my location. They can drop their pin to show to people, put in their event name, and then if people click on it, they get real-time information for public transports, and so on, and then plan their route. If they want to focus more on biking and shared mobility, they can build the map an entire different way to post on their website. And here you see an example with all the biking infrastructure and all the available shared mobility around the event that people can use. So this is a free tool for event organizers that we offer them to help them nudge visitors even further. And then as a wrap-up, the three main learnings from the last couple of years for you that we've seen. So as I told you, if a modal split is below 30% car, it is really hard to nudge further down. It takes sometimes too much effort. So it's easier to focus on easier. You have more impact if you focus on other events. Stakeholders and the event organizers really thrive with clear mobility guidelines and tools that include nudges. So you just help them out, give them examples, give them a flow or a tool that they can use for free, and they will really start working with it. And then as a third, especially for the open air, the temporary events, use the permanent infrastructure as much as possible instead of temporary event materials. That way it's more sustainable, but also for the future easier to reuse. All right, and I'll leave you with my last slide, which is just my contact information.
Thank you very much, Silke, for showing us what you do in Antwerp, especially around events at non-permanent places. And with that now, I would open the floor to the audience. If you have any questions about those two first presentations, please raise your hand or put your question in the chat. I've seen there's already a lot going on in the chat, but I don't think there were specific questions so far. Peter.
Yeah. Hi, and thanks for the very good presentations. A question I have, and it's both for Rome and for Antwerp. It's about the incentivization and specifically stuff like discounts on transport services or other types of incentives like vouchers and so on. How do you negotiate this with the transport companies or with other types of incentive providers? Do you have a strategy for that? What kind of negotiation process is happening there?
Well, for the city of Antwerp, with the Smart Ways to Antwerp, we have partnerships with all mobility solutions in the city that include, we sit down with them regularly. They have to provide data if they want to get a license to work in the city, especially for shared bikes and stuff. But there's nothing that is well worked around for discounts. We just usually work with them. We just ask them an open question, tell them we're going to do a campaign around it, how big the reach is, how we see the potential for them, but also how many channels we're going to use, how much they will be put in the picture through our channels and marketing means. And that way it's for them just a broadening of their audience. And especially for events, we see they really see that as an opportunity for first-time users to get them to know the system. So that's kind of the pitch we give them. A thing we've learned though, and we're trying to change it this year, is we start to see like a 10% discount, or sometimes with the electric scooters, you have to pay €1 to start, and then per kilometer, they would give like a €1 discount. These small discounts don't really work that well. There's not a lot of people that really feel it's a big enough incentive to try it out for the first time. And so we're trying to evolve this year towards really 1 hour free or 1 day free or a combi pass of different things. So it's really worth considering to try it out instead of maybe something you have at home or a car where the cost of the car isn't really that high up. Really that easy to calculate. So that's something we've seen in Antwerp.
Yeah, so you proactively approach the companies when an event is upcoming, and then you point out the benefits for them, and then you wait for an offer.
Definitely, if it's our own campaign, what we also do is with all our partners, we check with them when they subscribe with a partnership, if they are interested in working together with event organizers for sustainable mobility. So we have a short list of companies, shared mobility especially, but also like shuttle buses that say upfront, yes, we want to work with them. And we have a lot of events that ask us in advance, okay, we have a location with really little parking, sometimes also not the best public transportation. Are there companies that can help us out? And we just hand them the list and let them negotiate between each other. And I don't know if it's always for free, but they usually find a way to work together to make it beneficial for both parties.
Yeah. Thanks.
Any comment from Rome on that?
I must say that we have agreements at local level. Of course, the public transport operator is always engaged in when there are special events, whether they are sport events or events of the Catholic Church, or strikes or big works ongoing. They are committed to run special services. What was new is an agreement at local level between amongst different stakeholders. And of course, the sharing, the 3 sharing operators that we now have, they have a payback on that. So if we tell them increase the supply in case of events, they would be happy to, because this is advertising for them, and people think they can use it. They can use it even during the normal days. They can use sharing. Then, in case of the football match, there was a special, a larger agreement that went through the different aspects, not only sustainable mobility, but there were also governance and social aspects that were involved in this initiative, which was called Road to Zero, which is a bigger one. Also, the national railways were involved, but what we were more involved in was the free public transport ticket for people going to the stadium. So each time is different according also to the scale of the events and according to the audience involved and to the stakeholders to be involved each time.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Nicola.
Yes, hello, good morning, and thank you very much for those really excellent and very inspiring presentations. I work in the EU agency for the CINEA, the European Climate Infrastructure and Environment Executive Agency. I'm in the communications team, so this is all very interesting material for us to see how these communication promotional campaigns, all the different initiatives that have been undertaken and the impact that they're having. So it's very, very inspiring. Thank you. I've got 3 questions really for Francesco. The first one involves is related to the selection of the ambassador, which is a great idea. And I was just wondering, how you incentivized the national captain to come on board, and is it because he has a particular interest in the topic? That's my first question. And second question is about in Silke's presentation, she focused very strongly on the indicators and the KPIs and the outputs and the outcomes. And I was wondering if there was sort of similarly monitoring and evaluation undertaken for the Rome initiatives, or is this something that you're going to sort of develop for the next edition? And then just one little request, if possible, because I really like the promotional posters for around the Six Nations. And you said that you're in the process of developing the publicity material for this next one. That's as a rugby fan, I'm very aware it's kicking off already this weekend. And I was wondering, because Upper is a project that's financed by the EU, is it possible to also, or should we not also include an EU logo on those materials? Because I think it would be a great opportunity for raising visibility as well, that the actions are all kind of related to EU support. I hope that it's not too many questions all at once. Yeah, so one on the ambassadors, one on evaluation, and one on the EU logo. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Nikki, for being here. It's very, very important to have you here on board. Concerning the testimonial or ambassador, we thought it would have been a good idea to engage with a role model, and mostly to influence the youngsters to reach the stadium in an intelligent way, and maybe through the youngsters, also the parents will be encouraged to do the same. Through the years, we've always engaged with rugby players, young rugby players, they were keen to support us. They believed in a different way to get around the city, so it was very, very easy. It was an amicable cooperation between us and the Rugby Federation. We had also Conor O'Shea, which he made a video, and he's an avid cyclist. And nowadays we have Michele Lamaro, which is the actual skipper, and this is the first time we have the skipper of the national team supporting us, and he's also an avid cyclist. He lives up north. He plays for Treviso, and he gave us the okay right away. And actually this year we're planning to have an interview with him as a role model for changing things within the rugby world and the sustainability as a whole. So to me, it's a win-win thing. Also the federation is happy that he has this role as a testimonial. So I don't see any particular issue that also, football people or tennis players can do the same. It's easy and it works, especially towards youngsters.
Yeah, thanks, Francesco. That's it's certainly a really great idea.
I take the chance to answer the third question, which is the EU logo on the flyer. I'll be extremely honored to have it, so we can have a bilateral chat if you want, and so we can try to arrange this thing, which will add an incredible value to the initiative. So thanks for flagging it.
Okay, great. Let's have a chat on that, because I think it'd be, obviously it'd be win-win for us as well to have the logo displayed at such a high-profile event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a question on the evaluation as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure. That was also one of the questions in the chat. Do you collect any data KPIs for the model shift in Rome?
We started an analysis on the usage of sharing mobility around the events, in the day of the events, and compare it with normal usage. But we are processing this data, because just a few days ago I talked to my colleagues, which highlighted that of course there is an increase, but still this data needs to be elaborated. this is something that I must say we haven't taken care of so far. So we are starting to analyze this data, and so if you have suggestions.
Maybe I can reinforce a bit the question that was put in the chat by Evelyn for Transport and Mobility Leuven. So the question was, but maybe you already offered partially the answer, if you collect data separately for residents and how they go to events, and visitors from outside the city and how they travel to events, because that might give you insights on two different user groups.
I'm not sure. As far as I'm concerned, no. But this is something we can study, because just for to answer some of this question, I have contacted really my colleague that have elaborated data on the usage of sharing, but we can contribute better maybe next time on this.
Hopefully this time, I mean, for this edition, we have 3 home games. We will be able to gather insightful figures, which is key also to, you know, to analyze if the measure was successful or not. So thank you.
Thank you very much. There was one additional question in the chat on event logistics, on freight. Unfortunately, I think we won't have time to get into that today, but I will check with the different projects if we can send you some answers on that questions after the meeting. And then I would like to introduce Mauro from the Metropolitan City of Bologna, who will also present about active mobility around events.
Yes, good morning, everyone. And thank you, Florian, for the opportunity to illustrate this small pilot compared to Rome and Antwerp. But it is a small pilot that we carried out in Bologna last summer as part of the MOVE21 project. Yes, my name is Mauro Borioni, and I work for the Metropolitan City of Bologna in the Mobility Planning Department. Yes, in Bologna, like in many other urban nodes, we suffer from traffic intensity, and this is especially true in certain areas of the city during large events like musical concert or sport events or something like that, fair and so on. And the idea is therefore to promote sustainable mobility, but in particular to increase the use of bicycle for people going to these large events. So the purpose are similar to other experiences, so increases to sustainable mobility and reduce traffic congestion and pollution. But in our case, we would like to also to investigate the feasibility and the people perception of changing the original use of public and also private areas, originally thought to park private vehicles, and then destined to host the parking of bicycle and cargo bikes. So the very small test in Bologna was to provide a service for offer people going to these large events to offer them temporary and monitor the parking area for their bicycle. The name of service is BCQ, that is something like bicycle here, and we take inspiration for this service for this pilot from Hamburg in MOVE21, but also from Ghent. In Ghent, they already provide this service in occasion of football match around the stadium, and with offering thousands of slots for bicycle. So we get in contact with them and we receive some suggestion. In our case, so some areas that were originally intended for parking cars are around the area of these large events. We equipped and dedicated this area to for parking of bikes and cargo bikes, but only temporary, so not using existing infrastructure, but changing the use of this area. The service offered up to 100 available slots. So as you can see, the number is smaller than in other cases, but it was only a test to check the feedback, and users could arrive to this area and park their bicycle. The service started 2 hours before the event, and during the event the bicycle were guarded by the staff, and after the event users could take back their bicycle, and the area was open for this service up to 2 hours after the event. So only a temporary change of use of those areas. And because after the service, the equipment and facilities were dismantled, and the areas was come back to the original use. To put in place this service, we create a public-private network, yes, of course, as Metropolitan City of Bologna, but also involving the municipalities where these large events took place, Bologna, but not only the city of Bologna, but also some smaller villages around in the first surrounding of the city. And with the collaboration of a local non-profit association. But it was very important for us, the involvement of public and private events owners and managers. Of course, to inform them that this service was available to people coming to their events, but also to involve them in promoting this service, and in using also their channel for communication and the dissemination of this opportunity. Yes, we had in last summer of 2024, we served with the service 24 large public events. We originally started with a program of 8 events, but we arrived to 24 actually, and it was interesting, in my opinion, also to see that the feedback that we received by people using this service. So we disseminate a survey to them, mixed on the field directly by people that came with the bicycle, but also in part online, but mainly on the field. And we received a very good feedback. Consider that they were all cyclists, of course, because they came with their bike. So we didn't have the modal split investigation of all people that came to the large event. But considering only the small universe of people that used this service, they found BCQ useful, and they would use it again. Only 3% of them considered this service not useful at all, and only 6% would not use it again. And considering also that most of them, of course, owned a car, and they consider the service as a valid alternative to reach the event instead of by car. And yes, we collect some observations, some feedback. First of all, yes, the success in numbers of people that used this service, but we observed that the public-private synergy is decisive, at least in the case of Bologna, where this service is something very innovative. Yes, we had a very small try some years ago, but it was very an episodic event. But in this case, the public-private synergy was very, very important. And we discovered also that the private entities were very interested by appearing eco-friendly. For them is very important. They are not only focused on economic aspects, and for them to appear eco-friendly is very important. And they contributed. They were very enthusiastic for this initiative. And yes, we made a lot of effort to investigate and to find the most appropriate, the most fitting bike rack model, and just to know that is important for possible further follow-up. The estimation cost for 1 day of this service was about 400 euro, and not considering racks and equipment, but to provide the service. This is important for us because we received a request by private association and also companies and entities to implement this service in future. So after MOVE21, and we will consider this opportunity in the future. We collect also some problematic aspects, of course, and the first of all is that the idea was also to include logistics in this pilot, in this test. To involve also logistic suppliers with their cargo bikes, but actually we didn't receive any proposal from any application from logistic suppliers. Probably also because this modality of using the space is not useful for them. And another aspect that is very different, for example, for the experience of Rome, that was very, very nice. Thank you for your explanation. But in our case, in our first program was also some football matches in the main stadium here in the urban area in Bologna. But actually we had to exclude these large events because we didn't obtain the authorization from the public security, from the police. They were we tried we had a very strong political support. The idea was coming from the main political of the person of the city, but actually the police didn't agree, and they were scared for the Rex, because they were scared that people ultra supporter of football teams could take these racks and launch against other people. So even if actually they were fixed in the field, but we didn't succeed in convincing them. Yes, and also another particular aspect is that we made a lot of efforts and very big efforts to organize, to manage the service for bureaucratic and responsibility concerns of several aspects. But we found this problem mainly with the public administration instead of private entities. Private entities were very happy. Public administration were, yes, happy, but provide many difficulties and issues that we solved in many cases, but very effort demanding. And of course, the bad weather was an issue in some cases. That we realized this pilot in summer, so not raining days, but some days was raining, and in this case, in case of hardly rain, we received 0 participants, but in other case, yes, but this is an issue. And also, of course, in considering a possible follow-up in the future, what would happen having bigger numbers, because we test, we made a small test with 100 slots available, but for example, in the case of Ghent, they offer thousands of slots. So this option should be further investigated. Yes, I'm done, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mauro. As time is running, I would go right to our last speaker, which is.
Sorry, probably I stopped the.
We will start it again. So I would welcome Mircea from UITP, who will speak on demand management and public transport. And let me just start the slide deck again.
Hello, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for the very good presentation we've had so far. So as Florian kindly introduced me, my name is Mircea Steriu. I work for UITP, the International Association of Public Transport. Am I allowed to control this?
Yes, please just take control and then you can go through the slides at your own speed.
Let me see if I can do it.
It's on the top left.
Yes,
normally.
Saw it. Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay. Good. So as I said, I work for the International Association of Public Transport, and I am here with a double role, double-hatted, because UITP is also the coordinator of the upper project, from which you have heard in the beginning already. So I am trying to square the circle a little bit and give you a presentation from the public transport side of how we look at mobility management, and then and so in general give you a few examples related to large and sometimes very large events, but also kindly remind you that mobility management can be used, as we've heard from the other speakers, can be used for types of events and also for no events whatsoever. So it is a tool that cities will have in their arsenal to manage how people move within their cities every single day. So a little bit of context in terms of where we are. We still must remember to take advantage of the big reset that we had in mobility within our cities due to the pandemic, and whenever possible, try to increase to take advantage of what we've seen in terms of changes in travel behavior, such as increases in walking and cycling for certain types of trips. And then what we still have all over the world, really more flexible working times and work from home schedules. So really, when we talk about mobility management, we need to remember that this is really like going to the gym. It is a tool and it is a muscle that we can train. And the more cities are using this tool, the better they can get. We have seen from all of the examples before that what started as a small seed, what started as an idea, has been replicated, and then it was used as a learning opportunity for the city. So really, what we want is to manage mobility effectively during events to make sure that you avoid crisis when everybody is watching, but you also want to make sure that you learn from this tool to manage mobility in daily life, and making sure that people who live within our cities, whether they're big or small, they find a way of living without having to own a car, that they get accustomed to multimodal lifestyle, and that we have a strength and an integration between public transport and other sustainable transport modes. So then you have various elements of demand management which are useful for cities at all time. We have the policies for daily life, where I'm sure, as a matter of fact and as a matter of habit, almost every city is looking at awareness, promotion, managing various activities, and then looking wherever possible, introducing policies that allow citizens to access public services remotely. You also have the very strong integration of these policies with land use and transport planning. I'm sure this comes as no surprise for anyone working within our community. And then specifically when we're talking about events, as you have seen, you do need to have also a site-based approach, which is allowing city administration and authorities to make specific provisions that in a specific site where events take place. And then, of course, the tools in green on the left-hand side, they are available for cities at any time. And then, of course, in the case of large events, you will use mostly communication and regulation by restricting traffic to certain areas, like we have heard from all of the cities beforehand. But what I mean is that when these are used, the cities get used to their use. The citizens learn from them, and then are able to use them in, let's say, daily life, for example. So I have two very short examples regarding large events. One of them from Budapest. It was Euro 2020, but of course, for those who remember, it was actually played in 2021. So we were still in the post-COVID COVID area. But then during this tournament, there were four matches that were played in the stadium, and then we've seen measures which are replicating what was explained by the speakers before. So you had pull measures, so pulling people towards sustainable mode, and to this, the most important thing that the city can do is restrict parking and in terms of push, restrict parking and restrict private car traffic towards the event venue, making sure that the ways of reaching the venue where the event is taking place are not clogged up by private motorized traffic. And then these, of course, are being combined with the pull measures, where you had the pedestrian area that around a city that could actually be easily and efficiently reached by sustainable mobility modes. You had the increase in the frequency of lines around that were serving the area, and then as there was a discussion during in the chat, by supplementing this whenever possible with free public transport towards the venue itself. My second example of showing how this is how mobility management around events is has been implemented is looking, of course, at the big event that we had last summer with the Paris Olympics. But of course, I'm not going to focus on the entire event itself, because that will take hours, and if I'm not mistaken, UITP has already created a couple of training programs looking at specifically at this. But what I do want to focus on is the communication that comes with it. And then whenever your cities are providing a traffic planner, how this can be used and how effective communications can be used in order to support the mobility management solutions which are being implemented. So of course you had an enormous amount of digital visibility which was linked to the Olympics itself. So that's why I said please disregard scale, but use whatever communication channels you have available. So I put the examples of the communications that came from the Paris organizers in order to show how they have communicated with event goers. So this was the app that was being downloaded by all of the, or that was made available to all people who held tickets to go to the games. They would receive emails, they would receive push notifications through the app and an SMS on the day after they had purchased their ticket, to make sure that they reached the venue in time. But what you also had was how the route planner was in fact modified and adjusted. So your regular mass application has been adjusted in order to take into account the mobility management that was put in place. Specifically, when you're trying to implement pedestrian areas around, you need to, of course, remove the bus route at the last first mile around the venue in order to not confuse the people who are using the services. And then also try to you need to adjust the traffic path lengths according to what restrictions you have over there. So always a step to take into account is how you adjust the map, not according to the regular map of your city, but according to any restrictions or policies that have been put in place for that specific event. And especially looking at the case that was presented earlier about Antwerp, this is a very interesting solution to note. If you are looking at public road closure, you need to make sure that the app that the app also reflects this. So I'm taking off my UITP hat, although of course I can answer that as well. But then, as part of the upper project, we do implement several mobility management solutions as part of the project itself. You have heard from our friends in Rome, and then the measures that they're putting in place are looking at providing incentives to stimulate sustainable mobility behavior. So overall, it fits into the package of Rome 9. But we have several others which are looking at several other measures which are looking at everyday mobility and how this can be taken on board. For example, we have measures which are looking at business to business and the city engaging directly with companies in order to take advantage of mobility credits or to take advantage of funding for employees to support them in adopting sustainable mobility practices. We're looking at measures which are targeted either at homeowners associations or at schools in order to ensure that parents or people living in a certain area are on board and they accept and embrace mobility measures which are supporting sustainable mobility around that certain area. And of course, also we're looking at how road closures, road realignments, or changes in parking policies, which also free up public space, how these are being used on a regular basis by cities in order to improve sustainable mobility into the city. So, as you know, all of these measures from the Antwerp project are currently being implemented and taken towards their demonstration phase. And if you stay in mind, if you stay updated to our project, you'll be able to get the latest news. In terms of the demand management policy brief that I presented earlier, giving an overview of all of the tools. You can also download that. And remember that as a tool, mobility management is something that all of us are practicing on a daily basis, and and only by practicing it will we be able to improve how it is being done. I think that was my last slide. So if you have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mircea, for that presentation. And indeed, we do have another space now for your questions on those two presentations we just had. I think we had a question in the meantime in the chat. I'm not sure if that was dedicated to a specific city, but the question was encouraging event organizers to operate their own supporter buses around large events. Is that something cities subsidize? And would it be problematic that these extra bus services compete with the regular public transport? Not sure if that was a question for Rome.
Hi, Daniel from Gothenburg, Sweden.
Hi.
Actually, I was the one who wrote the question.
Yes.
And we are currently undergoing a project in Gothenburg where we are looking into increase the sustainable travel for hockey visitors. And we are thinking about the solution where one possible solution or one possible we have the challenge that the ordinary public transportation within this geography is not very well. It's not so attractive that it could be comparing to ordinary car usage. So that's why we are looking into possible other solutions to maybe encourage the teams or the event organizers to use ordinary buses instead.
Thank you very much, Daniel. So one of the things to always keep in mind when dealing with event is the fact that they will bring an unusually large amount of people to a certain location. So that's why, as part of all event management strategies, we have what we see as a reinforcement or an augmentation of the public transport supply on those specific areas or on the lines which are serving that venue, whether it's a stadium, whether it's a sports hall, whether it's a concert hall, whatever it is, you will have additional provision of transport services. So one of the things that is being done regularly is to increase public transport on that route. If you say that in regular times this provision is not adequate, then the event itself will actually be the opportunity when you increase, or before or after. If you need to look at adjusting the line itself beforehand to, I don't know, add an additional few kilometers to actually serve the stadium or not, that you also need to look into it. It is, of course, a possibility. It has been done. You need to just communicate it well to regular public transport users beforehand. I hope that answers a little bit, at least.
Yes, a little bit. Thank you.
Any further questions from the audience on the presentations of Mauro and Mircea?
I have a not a question but a proposal to Mauro. Maybe we can cooperate in creating to replicate the initiative in Rome to Bologna. I personally know that Annalisa Boni was interested in it, so I think we have room for improvement on both aesthetics. So and we can also link upper MOVE21. I think it would be good to have a bilateral chat to see if we can, further cooperate in this direction, if you agree.
Yes, Francesco, thank you. I confirm that our political part is very, very interested in this topic. So maybe that to create some national push could help in also in convincing and go further some problem that we meet in our case.
Yeah, like a twinning, we can engage with MOVE21, we can engage with through Spine, or also the political level, because both administrations have belong to the same party. I think we have all the elements to at least try it.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great. If there are no further questions, then we can conclude this webinar. We hope that you learned a little bit more about outcomes from different projects, and as we made use of the thematic synergies between different projects we're managing, and hopefully we'll meet at another occasion. As said before, we will share the presentation slides with all participants via email and a downloadable link after this session. And hopefully you have a great day and see you soon.
Florian, thank you very much on behalf of Upper. Excellent organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
All the best. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you to all presenters.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Bye.
Goodbye.